what was your goal with the Twins when you started, and why, or what was the inspiration? I know we've talked about it a lot.
So it probably would have, for me to give that story, I'd have to go back before the Twins, which would be like the Edgewood Bulldogs, Indiana Irish days. I was the second ever travel director for the Bulldogs. And then I was a co-founder for the Indiana Irish back in 2007, I believe. And both at Edgewood and with the Irish, I realized that what I thought travel baseball was is not what it was. So I thought it should be better. It should be more player development driven. It shouldn't just be better looking uniforms and better competition and more games. It should be more than that. So I tried to come up with a way to incorporate more player development stuff. So I traveled over the country looking at organizations that were kind of doing what I thought I wanted to do. I traveled over to Maryland and spent like 3 or 4 days with one of the MPA guys, which is National Pitching Association. He was one of Tom House's minions, or kind of assistants, I guess. And he had a big facility over in Maryland. And so me and a few guys went over there and spent probably 3 or 4 days, saw everything they did. I was blown away, fascinated, thought it was almost exactly kind of what I was envisioning. So I spent the next several years just trying to figure out how to do that with the organizations I was part of. It started with the Indiana Irish. We started an academy out of Extra Innings back in 2012. Unfortunately, we were spending a ton of money to rent tunnels out of Extra Innings, and I was literally monopolizing the entire facility with the organization, which they were not very thrilled about. But we gave them a lot of money to do it. And basically just the constraints of space and time, it didn't go off as the way I wanted it to, but it gave me a good idea of how to tweak it once I did have the freedom of space and time. And so I guess that kind of takes us to where we are now. I mean, the Twins started back in 2011-12, and the Twins camp that we have today is far more advanced, far more wide in scope, and just tons better information. And then there's a lot more people involved, obviously. We've got something like 18 to 20 instructors that we're paying pretty much year round to give lessons and run camp. So it's obviously evolved to where it is now, but we're getting close to realizing the vision that I had almost 10 years ago. So we're close.
Yeah. I know we have that conversation all the time. Do you remember how many square feet, I don't remember if you said that, but that building was, like, give or take? I don't think we're obviously there.
The previous location or Extra Innings?
The one out east.
So the one by you, Indy. That facility was...
No, the one that was the inspiration.
Oh my. Their weight room was 7,000 square feet. So the entire facility, I believe, was somewhere around 40,000. So I believe Extra Innings is 22,000. So if you double Extra Innings, that's about how big the building was. It was a ginormous building.
Yeah.
Kind of like what you'd see is like an Amazon warehouse almost. It was huge.
Yeah.
But they had a full infield. They had 12 or 14, I can't remember the exact number. It was more than 10. Real dirt and clay mounds lined up along a wall. And then they had home plates painted on the floor on the turf of different distances. So you could be throwing 12 to 14 bullpens from any distance possible at one time in that facility. They had a full 90-foot infield, so their catchers could all throw full distances. They had all kinds of batting cages set up, obviously. A very elaborate netting system, which I still have not been able to duplicate or figure out how they did it. But they had this elaborate netting system where they could pull the nets in all kinds of different ways to create different space for different things they were doing. They had a full performance training program, which really inspired what we do. It was extremely impressive. I mean, they had 2 instructors and a bunch of kids would come in every single night from 6 to 9. They'd run different classes for all of them, very similar to what we're doing now with our performance training. And then the real impressive thing was they had a 7,000 square foot weight room, which, I mean, it was phenomenal. It was like walking in one of the fitness places here around town with all the, free weight stuff and the Nautilus equipment. And I mean, it was impressive. So
Yeah. Was that, were they an organization, or were they like a lot of the facilities where they run their own business, but there's multiple teams that run in and out of it and that kind of thing?
So it was both, which is different than what the Twins do, but we're kind of evolving into both. We just did it backwards. I think they started as a public for lesson for money type of business, and then an organization was born from that. We're going just the opposite. We've got the organization, and we're creating lesson platforms and opportunities for our instructors, and then obviously for our Twins players. And now we're starting to even reach outside of the Twins for lessons. So we've kind of done it backwards, but I think the end result is going to be we're very similar to what they were. They just, like I said, they just started one way and went the other than how we did it. So